So there are 5 functions of the respiratory system. One is to provide extensive gas exchange surface area between the air, the atmospheric air, and the circulating blood. It also moves air to and from exchange surfaces of the lungs. It protects the respiratory surfaces from the outside environment. It produces sound, and it participates in olfactory senses. So olfactory means sense of smell. The respiratory system is divided into 2 parts: the upper respiratory system above the larynx and the lower respiratory system, which is below the larynx. So the respiratory tract consists of 2 portions as well. One is called the conducting portion. So it conducts air from the external environment to the terminal bronchioles. And then you have the respiratory portion, and these are the respiratory bronchioles and the alveoli. It's only in the alveoli, which are the air-filled pockets at the ends of sort of the lung areas, where all gas exchange takes place. We'll look at the alveoli a bit closer, more closely towards the end of this lecture. So here we have a diagram showing you a sagittal, sort of like a cross section. So you can see that the skull's been cut in half, and the tip of the nose. If we start at the tip of the nose and move our way down, we'll just run through what we can see. So we've got the nose, the nasal conchae, which are folds of moist skin, which are used to moisten the air. You've got the nasal cavity, the internal nares. Then moving down, you can see we've got the mouth and the teeth, the lips and the tongue. Then moving back towards the posterior edge, you've got the pharynx. And then moving down further, we've got the beginning of the larynx, and you can see the line there which separates the upper respiratory system from the lower respiratory system. So the larynx is seen to be the border between the upper and the lower respiratory systems. Then we move down, you can see that the trachea, and there's a tube that's behind it, which is the esophagus. And remember, in our digestive system lecture, we know that the esophagus is the tube that transports food after it's been chewed and swallowed in the mouth down to the stomach. You can see that these 2 tubes, both the trachea and the esophagus, lie side by side. Now we've got the trachea, and that you can see divides off into 2 portions, the left and right main bronchus, and each of those are surrounded by the lung tissue. So you have the left and the right lung, and in between the left and the right lung you have the mediastinum, which is where the heart is. Then you move down further, and we've got a U-shaped piece of muscle, which is called the diaphragm. All of the lungs are protected on both sides by the ribs. The respiratory epithelium, which are the cells of the respiratory tract, provide for effective gas exchange. The walls of the alveoli must be very thin. They have to be less than 1 micron. And the surface area is really huge. It has to be great. So if you can think of 35 times your body's surface area. So if you were multiplied 35 times and you stood in a straight line, and then we had all of the surface area of your skin 35 times, that gives you an estimation of how much surface area is available in your lungs for respiration to occur, for gas exchange to occur. Here we can see a little piece of microscopic view of what is called the epithelium, the cilia of the epithelial cells. And just as it says written there, it looks like a shag pile carpet. And these cilia move in waves to propel mucus across the epithelial surface. So here's another diagram of it. You can see that the arrow, the grey arrow, and then you've got sort of the yellow layer, and the bits of brown in it are the foreign particles that are being moved in the mucus with the cilia, the little purple finger-like projections at the top of the cells, and they're all moving upwards to remove the mucus and allow any foreign body to be coughed up or expectorated out. So it's part of the defense system. The alveoli epithelium, these are very delicate squamous cell epitheliums, and they contain other cells within them, and they line the exchange surfaces of the alveoli. So the respiratory defense system, so it consists of a series of filtration mechanisms which remove particles and pathogens like dust and smoke and pollen. And then you have the mucus cells which produce mucus, which is a moist, sticky substance which bathes the exposed surfaces, and there it traps any more foreign bodies. And then you have the cilia, and these are those finger-like projections which move the mucus towards the pharynx. They're also known as the mucus escalator. They move it towards the pharynx where it can be expectorated out. You've also got the filtration in the nasal cavity, which removes large particles, as we've said before. And then in the alveoli, you've got special cells, macrophages, which also engulf small particles if they have reached that low down in the lungs.